So I want to start by giving you really the essence of what I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to flip something on its head. And I'm going to stand over here. And over here represents, I think, three things which we associate with successful leadership. The first one is belief, that leaders need to believe something in order for others to follow. The second thing is they're about growth. If any of you run companies, you want next year's turnover to be better than this year's turnover and better than last year's turnover. And it's about life. It's about growing something and something coming to life. And I'm going to stand over here. And I'm going to suggest to you that three qualities that leaders within particularly within large companies need in the 21st century are an ability to understand the power of doubt, of decline, and of death. Of doubt, of decline, and of death. So someone said to me just before, a good friend, Andrew, I hear you're presenting. I hope you're going to do something inspirational. And yet, even if we understand some of the more spiritual ways of interpreting those words of doubt, decline, and death, they don't exactly inspire. And isn't that what leaders are meant to do? But I put this to you. If you had a little imaginary dial in front of you, and on that dial that you could speed up the decline and death of fossil fuels, would that be a good thing to do? Or if you could speed up the time it took to take the excesses of salt and sugar and some of the things that are causing problems with our society out of the products that we buy from supermarkets, wouldn't that be a good thing to do? So, let me take a few steps backwards. The steam engine, a wonderful 17th, 18th century development, harnessed the power of nature. So we take fire, something we've known about for a long, long time, and we take water, and we heat the water, and we constrain it into a particular container, and we create pressure. And from that pressure, we can create all kinds of wonderful things, early cars, trains, pumps, etc. And that had a huge social impact on our society. If I was a farmer, no longer did I sell my products into the local market, but along came a train and I could sell my products much further afield. Companies no longer operated in small local geographies, but they could actually spread their footprint over a much greater area. And we set off a wave of economic development. And you could say that we're at a point now where that has reached a level that it's never been at before. But something happened in that process. We became disconnected from nature. And we started to strategize beyond the boundaries of where the planet is. And I would suggest to you that a number of things are happening now. I was at Davos earlier this year and listened to an author called Johan Rockström, who just launched a book called Big World, Small Planet, where he charts out the extent to which we're overstepping nature's boundaries in the way we are working. I don't know how many of you saw recently the plane that took off from Abu Dhabi, one of the Emirates that is responsible for producing oil, is hugely dependent on fossil fuels, but the plane was purely powered by solar power. It was like when the Wright brothers first started to fly again. And just last week, there was an announcement made about a new battery that has the potential to take our homes off the grid because of the storage capacity it brings to our homes. So when I put all of that together, I began to think to myself, well, what would it take to really strengthen the voice of nature within what we do? When a company thinks about its strategy and how it deploys its resources, do we need a director of natural resources? Do we need accountants who actually can take into account the amount of natural resources that are being used? Do we need laws like the ones that some of you know, Polly Higgins and the work that she's doing around ecocide to actually ensure that companies are punished and stopped for doing things which transgress those boundaries. And I think all of those things are necessary but not sufficient. If you go back to where I started and take those three words of doubt, decline, and death, and say, how as a leader do I hold those as positive things? The first thing that has to happen is that I have to be aligned to a purpose that's greater than my own ego, and aligned to a purpose that's greater than the ego of the company, where the company is simply about further growth and further development and further strength, where I have the confidence to lead into a period of decline and to actually take something into a cycle of death. Because by doing that, what I do, whether it's me and whether it's my company, that's another question. I create a space into which innovation can come, and I effectively speed up the process of evolution. And this is something which we are bad at as people and as companies. Our whole world seems to be aligned around continual youthfulness and continual strength, and not embracing some of these natural cycles of what we do. And I would suggest to you, we are at a point in history where the current ways of working to address the environmental challenge that we are facing are not moving quick enough. And a deeper shift needs to occur. And that shift will occur when large companies start to move. So if I could leave you with one image in your mind, it's that yes, we need people who are able to inspire through belief, through growth, and through bringing life to something. But we also need those individuals to simultaneously know the power of doubt, of decline, and of death. And if we can bring that into some of our largest corporations, then I think we can start to transcend some of the challenges that we face much, much quicker. Thank you.